What if it's not as good as Bobby's? Or what if it's better? Good morning and welcome to the Table Scraps podcast.
On today's episode, we've got Matt Trulio joining us. He's been a longtime partner with Scrapyard Media, and we're very happy to have him on for the first time.
We love talking to Matt, and we hope you enjoy the episode. What are you going to do today before the street party?
I have to make some phone calls, secure some financing, pick apart another story, take a nap. How about you?
That sounds great. Well, I'm going to go to the street party and I'm going to follow all of the instructions Brad wrote for me.
Oh, Brad wrote instructions for you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Why does that
Wrote a
not
ton of
surprise me?
instructions.
He's so disorganized. He has no idea where he's going when he wakes up in the
This
morning.
guy's got a plan for every moment.
I do too. You know what?
Thank goodness, because I do not.
We're usually sitting down to lunch and I'm asking, what do you think we should do for dinner?
Yeah,
I think about food.
I'm like, this week or next week? Got this week already figured out.
Right. And like that, plans are good things to have.
Yeah, they are.
Like if you're not way ahead, you're way behind.
Yeah.
Just being up to date is not enough.
Welcome, Matt Trulio, to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Brad.
Yeah,
Katie.
absolutely. Our nice basement room here at our house. It's kind of like your first time coming to our house.
Well, yeah, the first time I came here was at night, and this entire area was more of a man cave than a working production studio like it is now. It's impressive.
It's taken its turns. It was Katie's office, and then it was a storage room, and then it's a podcast room.
Now my whole house is pretty much the Scrapyard headquarters.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah. More rooms in the house are for Scrapyard than for living.
You know, as long as I have my room and I can stay, I'm fine.
Yep.
I feel like we should be able to write off our mortgage at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have a good accountant. You can write off a good piece of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. We've been doing a lot of work together over the last 3-4 years now. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Has it been?
Yeah. And we talk about the projects that we do with you guys at Speed on the Water quite a bit, but I thought it'd be cool to get into a little bit of what got you to this point and kind of like your backstory and your time in this industry, because that's something that a lot of people in our generation wouldn't know, because I don't know how invested they are in reading as much as they are listening.
Mm-hmm.
So this might give another outlet to those types of people to learn a little bit more about you and kind of what got you into this whole thing.
Oh, that's great.
So I'd like to go back. I mean, I'd like to go back to like the beginning and, you know, what got you into powerboating?
Well, other than, growing up in a beach town and using boats for fishing, I really wasn't a powerboater at all. I admit this sparingly, I guess. I sailed and I did a lot of diving and a lot of fishing and just a tremendous amount of surfing. So that was sort of my exposure to the ocean. How I ended up getting involved with high performance powerboats was through Powerboat magazine. They were looking for a managing editor in 1993. They did little classified ads now, like you probably don't even know about those of a certain generation. They were these little ads at the back of a paper for jobs. There was no LinkedIn. Anyway, I applied for this job. It said managing editor, boating magazine, boating experience, not essential, publication experience, essential. And at that point, I'd been working in journalism and editing for 10 years. So I had experience, but I didn't know much about boats. I sat down in the office at Powerboat in Ventura, California, and I took one look at the magazine and looked out the window at the ocean. I was like, this is where I have to work.
Yeah.
I bet.
Well, I had worked for trade magazines, and trade magazines, I'd also worked for newspapers, but at trade magazines, your number one job as a managing editor is to spend no money. So, I mean, like I could look at this magazine and go, wow, they actually spent some money on it, and maybe they pay better too, and they did. Anyway, I didn't get the job. There was a woman who also applied for the job who was a better copy editor than I am, and that's not saying much because I'm a pretty poor copy editor, as Jason Johnson, my partner in SpeedOnTheWater.com would tell you. I am. But she decided that she was going to moved to Canada in 6 months. And my editor, the guy who hired me, Eric Colby, who writes for me now, he said, okay, I'm going to bring you on, but you have to be a better copy editor. So I did improve my skills a little bit. Anyway, I stuck with it for forever, really, until the magazine folded. But I made, a lot of departures from it. I went I went to work for an ill-fated new personal watercraft magazine. I lasted 5 days and walked out. Begged for my job back, and they gave it to me. Then I went to work to help start a company called boats.com. And I was a powerboat content producer for boats. And that was a lot of fun. It was a great experience. Probably is what enabled me to make the jump from print to online. Because let me tell you, when I got to boats.com, I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't even understand how it worked, how the internet worked, how things got online. Well, let's see, 2008, freshly divorced, in need of money.
Yep.
Boats.com let me go. They said they were laying people off, but they hired somebody to replace me. So I think they let me go. Powerboat magazine said, hey, it's 2008, things are really in the tank. We need to cut your salary or your retainer by 2/3, but we still want you to write. So,
wow.
Okay. I started I guess you would call it a blog. I didn't know what else to do. I just knew that I should keep writing and try to keep my skills fresh. And it grew from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you have your own business that's thriving, and you're at all these events and covering pretty much exclusively the performance boat industry, right?
Yeah, we don't really stray from it. It's not just the way I was brought into journalism. You kind of always try to narrow your focus. And we saw at Powerboat magazine when we tried to do like little things with personal watercraft or trucks or whatever. We just got slaughtered.
Yeah,
we were doing it for the wrong reason. We were doing it to bring in advertisers, not to enhance our content product for our readers. They weren't interested. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but when I read your articles and whatnot, it seems like you're telling stories of the powerboat industry. You're not so much reporting on, you do report on like new product and whatnot that comes out, but do you find the most enjoyment in going on a run and telling about your experience of the run? Or is it more about like finding out what the newest boat is that's coming out? I like both. I like breaking news if I can. It's fun. There's only really one place to be in news, and that's first, breaking. Everything else is last. Yeah. But that's not really what gets me going. I enjoy observing and then telling the story of what I saw. This whole culture around high performance boating was completely new to me, and it's still strange to me at times. So I in kind of a voyeuristic way, I really enjoy observing it. It's fun, and then trying to tell the stories of the people, because it really is the people. I've said this a lot. The boats are just fiberglass and resin and epoxy and carbon fiber. Without the people, they don't mean anything. Yeah. Do you find that a lot of the people that read your stuff regularly have a sense of knowing you without maybe not even knowing you in person? Yeah, I get that. I do get that, which is a huge compliment, because to have a voice as a writer is something you really strive for without forcing it. It has to be your voice. It can't be someone else's. I do find that. And I'm also sort of shy in public. So I go, thank you, and I shrink into a corner. Do you have any stories that stand out over the years that are really memorable to you, or something that was really important that you got to break? Oh gosh, I'm sure there's plenty, but anything sticking out? I think the story that was most exclusive and breaking was the 1350 story from Mercury Racing when they first went with a quad cam 4-valve engine. That was a big deal because I had to sign a bunch of NDAs, and I was allowed to break it at the beginning of the Miami Boat Show. That was kind of just handed to me. And we also did it for we did a similar story, although a bit longer, from Cigarettes magazine at the time called Smokin', which was super fun. But just oh no, guest appearance. Yeah, come here. The one allergic person, come sit with me. Oh, that's what you get when you're in our house.
She'll be back again.
That's good. Well,
She's
you know,
persistent.
It's because Katie's on the
Yeah, it
podcast.
is.
So
She
everybody
just
that
wants to
voted
be
for
by
Katie
me.
to join the pod again, now
Ah.
Loca joined.
Thank
So-
you for that vote too.
so where's Costa? Where's the dog?
She likes to she doesn't like the basement.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that dog's so good. They have a cute dog, by the way. People out there, listeners,
The
don't
cutest.
know. I think the most fun, I've had are adventure-based stories.
Yeah.
I went to Peru with Tom Newby, the late Tom Newby, the photographer, Bob Teague, and a guy named, he lived down there. His name was Lizardo Benitez, and he set a record going, there's these two beach towns on each side of Lima, about, I don't know, probably 70, 80 miles apart. One is called Pucasana, and the other is called Ancon. And so we covered that. And Bob was the throttle man, and it was in a big V-bottom, a canopied V-bottom. And I think the coolest aspect of that story was the Peruvian Navy flew support. So we were in a gigantic Augusta Bell helicopter that could hold like...
You got to go in that?
Oh, yeah. Like 20 people, 20 soldiers, fully decked out in gear. I mean, it was amazing. So I got talking with the pilot, who probably shouldn't have been talking to me. He should have been flying. But... we were both skydivers, and I was still skydiving at the time, and we were just getting into it. And he said, I don't want to get my helicopter dirty. And it's sort of broken English, so I'm going to lower you guys down on the winch, the cable, like they do with the Coast Guard.
What?
And I was like, cool, this is going to be so fun. But I didn't take him seriously until I was getting hooked up. Because there was a big like welcome reception after the run, a big celebration down in Pucasana, and so they put me in the harness, hooked me up, lowered me down to the breakwater about 30 feet, and Tom, I think he was afraid of heights, to be honest with you, and he was. First they lowered down his gear, which was not fun for him because with all your cameras, I mean, there were tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff that doesn't do well if it falls out of a helicopter. Right, even at 30 feet, and then they lowered Tom down, and I remember looking up at him, and he's a pretty big guy. I think he was like 6'4", not fat by any means, but just a big dude. And I looked up at him, and I saw the terror in his eyes. They were lowering him down, so I did what any good friend would do. I just laughed.
That's what you would do too.
I'm always a good friend.
And when he got to the ground, like he hadn't ever landed a parachute or anything before, so he landed and his legs just collapsed and he sat down. It was fun.
What were they afraid of? Getting it dirty from the ground?
They would have
water?
to, because of the dust. This thing, when you were standing under the wash of it, I mean, it was windstorm.
Wow.
And there's a lot of, you think of Peru, you tend to think of it as like Machu Picchu and the jungle and all that. Well, you get out to the coast, and I think it's the driest place I've ever been in my life. The only thing you'll find green there is it's in a pot. It's not growing on the land.
Seems like helicopters are always involved in this type of stuff and always give for a good story.
And I don't fly in helicopters anymore simply because that's how we lost Tom in a helicopter accident. And it's no indictment on helicopters or helicopter pilots. It's just not anything I have to do. I'm comfortable with. I also don't skydive anymore. So that was a lot riskier than helicopters.
So what's outside of work interests you now? Are you surfing still? Or
I'm not.
What do you got going on?
Well, most of what I have going on this year is work. I took to the road this year like I never have before. I just had the time suddenly, and
I feel like the people are grateful for that because your stories have been frequent and they are good.
You can cover an event old school reporting ways with phones and text and all that stuff, and you can get a decent story, but it's a lot better if you can put your face out there and just really listen to people, watch, see what happens. And that's what my job is really, it's as much about just watching and observing and listening as it is about actually putting it down and into words.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you and Jason both like to mountain bike a lot, and that's something that I've never done, and I'm kind of scared to do because those falls, they just look brutal. And there's been multiple Zoom calls that we hop on, and you got a cut on your face or on your arm or something, and I'm like, Matt, why are you doing this?
Yeah, I haven't been mountain biking that much since late September. I took a really hard fall in September, and I'll get back on, but it was kind of an eye opener because it took me a while to recover from it. I didn't have anything broken, but just like soft tissue stuff.
Yeah.
I was a mess.
Yeah, I just wonder about like the falls with that. You're just skin on rocks.
Yeah,
right?
the ground doesn't give.
Yeah.
It hits back.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the snow-covered mountains and not the rock ones.
You can pound yourself there too, but at least you're not going to stick. You're going to slide.
Right. Yeah, and you got clothes on to like break the fall. I mean,
Yeah, I cracked the helmet on the last one. I'm not super,
jeez.
but I'll get back to it. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, just the travel has been great.
Mhm.
This month, if this goes out this month, I'm all over. I'm here. I'm up in Michigan for the third annual Sensation Sun Run, which is super cool. 175 boats registered. It's just an insane number of one brand. Next week, off to Sheboygan, Wisconsin for the Midwest Challenge to do a little bit of broadcast color work and cover. What does it have to? Oh, Rock the River down in Cincinnati.
Mhm.
And then look at the Ozarks for a couple days, and then off to London to cover Torquay Cows. Always wanted to do that. We have 2 Americans going over this year, and as much as we are an international company, American stories about United States citizens tend to drive our reader interest.
Sure. So you've been doing the broadcasting this is your second season now
Yeah,
of doing that. How are you liking it?
I do like it. I do. Hey,
Oh, Loca's
look,
back.
there's Lolita Loca. Yeah, I do like it. I like it because it's hard. I like it because it's a major challenge. Plus, I work with Mike Kowalski, who's got the fastest mouth in offshore powerboat racing broadcasting. So I have to pick my moments to dive in.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing play-by-play. I'm doing color. But yeah, I like it. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be hard.
I can't imagine doing that and just calling it live. And, the camera angles that you guys get aren't always the greatest. So even knowing where everybody is out there can be a challenge.
I would say that's the hardest part.
And then you've got the responsibility of telling everybody that's watching where they are, but you might not even know yourself.
Well, the way to really know is to stick your head out the window, look at the race course. But even that's kind of distance. But you have to call the race that's on your screen because that's what people are watching.
Yeah, right.
So you're kind of limited, and they did work P1, and now they're working with Greenlight this year. They have worked to get up sort of a leaderboard that is dynamic, on the left side of the screen, but it doesn't always work.
Mhm.
Offshore racing it's tricky, and it's not like covering just tunnel boats where you've got F1 boats where you've got the same 12 boats out there. You got multiple classes. Drivers routinely swap in and out of the cockpit, so you're wrong a lot about that. And then there's just unforced errors, self-inflicted wounds, like calling people the wrong name or naming their sponsor from 3 weeks ago. Yeah, you can pretty much make every mistake in the book if you work at it.
I feel like you guys have gotten better. Like each time I listen to it, it seems like there's improvement.
No, it sucks less.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks less. The first one I was like, and then now you've gotten, I'm like, Matt's got it.
Well, we had 3 of us working in the first one, and that was my idea. And
Bad idea.
Bad idea, yeah, I guess. No, but I loved working with Mark Granick because he's a longtime friend of mine, and I like him a lot. And we had a lot of fun, but we all had sort of different visions of what we wanted to do. And when Azam Ragangwala brought me on, he just kind of like, what I told him is I would try to bring some order to the chaos because that's what I do in day to day. And I wasn't really able to achieve that goal. But we're working on it, and I promise a better broadcast out of Sheboygan. It'll be a good one.
So you've got Sheboygan, and then what are the other ones for the rest of the year?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to miss Sarasota because I have another assignment.
Okay.
So Mike will have another partner.
Is that the last one then? Is that the last P1
No, I'll
race?
do St. Petersburg.
Okay.
The St. Pete Grand Prix.
Gotcha.
So our broadcast comes out of Powerboat P1, that group, and they're using a production company called Greenlight this year. They were cased last year. Race World Offshore uses a different company, different broadcasters, and I think that's about it. Lake of the Ozarks did their own thing this year with Shootout Offshore.
Different company and everything?
Different company, different people.
Okay.
Just a different group completely.
Who do you think's figuring it out right now, or maybe on the cutting edge of like getting the broadcast up to par with some other industries?
I think as far as, let me just try to break it down a little bit. I think Mike does a great job with what he's dealt with, what he's given with play-by-play.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's good at that. I think Eric Colby, who also hired me at Powerboat and who covers offshore racing for us. I think he does a great job with color, and his knowledge base is really deep. I gotta admit, I like having the X-Insurance helicopter shots.
Yeah, that's so
I think
nice.
they add a lot. And Parker Lindsay, who's doing that work, has steadily improved his skill set, and it's good. There's very little aircraft door in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Or skid.
For the Supercat project, he's been helping us out with giving us some of that helicopter footage, and so grateful for it because his shots are like nothing else, right? The drones can't get that. There's no other helicopter up there but him. So for him to pass that along, we're very happy.
Well, speaking of that, I'm not used to being interviewed. I do mostly the other side of the coin. What are you talking about? Supercat what? Supercat what? What are you doing, Brad?
Well, that's everything that's behind me here on this wall. So, it's our project covering 3 of the Supercat teams this year. And we've talked about it a little bit with like when Bobby was on here and with Matt Led, and he's helping us out with it too on the MCON side. But Katie, Bobby, and I have been following around a bunch of teams all year at a bunch of different races. And we're looking to produce a 3-part series on these 3 teams right before Key West. I
think it's an amazing concept, and I know you'll do a good job with it. I mean, you started at the outset of this conversation. You were talking about 4 years of work together. I thought your stuff was good from the beginning, but you just steadily get better and better. Our first video in the lead with Grant Brueggemann.
Yep.
Of Grant Signature Racing. I still go back to that one and absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very well told story. And you and it was Ryan Wink at the time. Your number one goal was telling good stories, and that dovetailed with sort of what I believe in and what Jason believes in as well. Tell a good story and the rest will work itself out.
And that fits to what we were just saying about what you like to do with your writing, and it translated over to video so well. And you steered the ship then, because Ryan and I didn't know anything about this industry.
I'm not steering it now, which is great. I miss working with you guys, going out with you on trips, but I don't worry about not being there, which is huge. And I'll admit, being a independent business and my own business, I'm a bit of a control freak. I can be, and for me to go, yeah, you got this. That's like the highest compliment I can pay you.
Appreciate that for sure. And from the in the lead to what it is now, like every step of the way, we try to get better. But the storytelling was always the focus.
Yeah.
Now we're just, instead of doing it maybe a little novicely, we storyboard and script and really get into the details of planning these things out in advance of editing. Because I think I told you at the beginning, like we spent over 100 hours editing that Grant video, which was, I don't remember how long it was.
12 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
100 hours?
Over. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the interviews went long. That was, my being a novice in terms of what they need and how to correct it.
Creating proxy files for everything because our computers were slow. None of the cameras matched because we worked with what we had, and we had like 2 crappy cameras, I mean, you can't tell when you go back and watch it because we spent so much time editing it.
Yeah.
But now it's like we'll spend 30-40% of our time before we ever turn on a camera planning everything out, so that when we do turn on the cameras, we only get what we need, And for something like this, it's kind of a mix of that with the Supercat project, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where the stories are going to take us. So we plan a little bit, go shoot, come back, move all the sticky notes around because everything changed because the race authorities changed their minds, and now somebody else won a race that we thought they lost, Oh,
I have no comment on that.
But it happens, and it's fine because that's the sport. But we have to both plan and then replan consistently throughout the year for this.
Well, we don't have that. It's not as extreme in what we do, but because, we're reporting one race at a time, not doing sort of a longitudinal series. But I know that Eric, Colby calls me every Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday after the story. He files a story and we publish it. Oh, I got to change this. I have to change that. This wasn't the driver. This wasn't, this guy got penalized. And it does happen. And that's, we throw in that disclaimer pending official results. But the fact of the matter is that the first message is the message that's remembered. So you can't really put the toothpaste back in the tube, right?
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. Most people didn't get to see this because most of our readers didn't go to Point Thunder. A lot of people went, thousands of people went, but we have more than that as far as readers. And for those of you who weren't there, Brad, Katie, Bobby, I don't know how many other people they had.
Jordan. He was our drone pilot.
They put together a 2-minute sizzle reel. I guess I would call it that. But I think that demeans what it actually was. It was a 2-minute short for the banquet, the celebration of the auction. And I was like so proud of you guys because in some ways telling a short story is a lot harder than telling a long one. You have a finite bit of time to try to go, okay, how do I do this? It was so good. And, the rest of the public gets to see the long format video, which is great as well. It's got so much going on. But this thing was just so succinct and it had the crowd just losing its mind. It was fun. Congratulations.
Thank you. The first time that we did that, it was kind of eye-opening because you have all these people and, their attention is hard to get. And they're all sitting down and they're all watching it. And I just looked around and I'm like, man, what an opportunity. What an opportunity to perform well in front of a bunch of really important people that you have their attention for. And sure, you're showing them their boats and, you're appeasing them. But then at the same time, the following year, we said, hey, let's inject the charities in there. We've got their attention during this video. Let's put the charity in front of them. And they're going to watch it because there's more of the boats coming right after it. And when we did that last year and this year. And the event coordinator that hires us was just thrilled with that. And I think she was more thrilled with that than like our final video, the numbers on it, all of that. It didn't matter because we were able to get that message across at that event.
That goes back to your instinct for storytelling. You're always going to inject that. I think you could probably do that, half the time if you just loud music and boats running.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Right. As many shots as you can get, as many boats as you can get in there. There's only 120. You've got 2 minutes, go. But to slow it down and not have the energy slow down at the same time, slow down, interview someone, and then come back and bring it with no loss of momentum. That's craft. You guys did a hell of a job.
Well, I hope that we can do it for some other events and, whatever it may be. Yes, if you would have asked me a couple of years ago if I wanted to do a day of edit like that, I would no, this is like once a year type thing.
I remember.
We've got it figured out pretty well now. So I'd love the opportunity for another event to want to step up and, fund something like that to happen because it was so impactful for them and for that charity.
Well, so you recently did a video where you were faced with some pretty heavy challenges, an event-based video. And now I'm going to ask you, Katawa.
Yeah.
The Katawa Cannonball Run. For those of you who don't know, read it. Weather-wise, it was a total disaster. It was a train wreck. So
yeah, we got a little wet.
So, tell me a little bit about how you were able to make a pivot and create a really good video with that, with very, very few boats actually running.
Yeah, I think we got, what did we get? Like one run in there?
Yeah, I think it was just the run the day before to lunch.
And it was like a 5-minute boat ride.
And no one was going fast because the water was full of logs. And so it was. There was not much running footage at all.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And, I don't think the people that signed up for that really got to use their boats a whole lot.
Most of them didn't.
So you're talking about making a poker run video without any boats running.
Without a poker run.
Yeah. Well, I think that the biggest thing was that we went in with the idea of telling a story about the poker run and not just showing the poker run, and that was what you had come up with talking to Jeff and Terry there about this is our idea. We want to come in. We want to highlight like what you guys have done, how you've grown the event, and how it like changes this small town in Kentucky. When you think of it that way, it doesn't matter if the boats are running or not. Like you just have to get people's attention to stick through and like learn this story about it. So in a sense, the rain and the conflict that brought was just as advantageous as the actual boats running. I mean, we still started the video with the 5 minutes of running footage that we had. No helicopter, like just a couple drone shots and a raft up. But then it quickly moved into, okay, there is no run. And you're like, well, what are we watching if there's no run? You're kind of invested in the video. And then we start talking about the benefits that came from this and how they got it to where they got it. We injected characters. Nolan was in the thing from the beginning to the end. And you kind of learned about him as you went. And the video is performing pretty well on YouTube too. So, I mean, I think it worked out well with just telling a story instead of making a highlight video about a bunch of boats.
Totally agree. And one thing that people wouldn't know from that video is there was a time on Saturday where, the organizers and Nolan Ferris, the auctioneer, they were talking about not doing the auction, just playing the cards and then doing a 2-week, live auction online, not live, a 2-week auction online. And it was kind of like Brad who stepped in and went, no, why don't we do do it? I mean, I really think that you steered that and still raised $80,000.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Come on.
I still didn't think they were going to do it though. And when we went up there, we were just thinking, okay, we're going to film them doing the poker hand.
Right.
We knew that they were going to do the poker hand. And then 2-3 hours later, the whole thing wraps up. They raise $80,000 and we've been filming for like multiple hours. Like we didn't expect that. We didn't plan for that at all.
It was crazy because there wasn't a ton of people that came out to the auction.
There really wasn't.
But it was enough of the right people that came to donate. And I mean, that's amazing that they were able to raise $80,000.
If there were 100 people there, I'd be shocked. There weren't that many people there.
No, there were
Maybe
not
even
that
100
many people there. But there was more people there than I thought would come. So
yeah, well, the generosity of that group is incredible, just like it is with all of these events that we cover collectively. Thousand Islands Charity does a great job. Boyne does a great job. I don't know how much they raised this year.
The Michigan Parkinson's Foundation run?
They did a great job.
They raised maybe even $100,000.
They raised $150,000.
That's insane. You're talking about just Lake St. Clair, and it's not performance boats. It's open to every, I can't believe the numbers that they do.
I think in 4 years, they've raised $650,000 total.
That's crazy.
Would you have ever guessed that?
Just guys doing it.
Yeah.
They're passionate about it and it hits home for them, right? Like I think that really motivates them because it's something they really care about.
So what's next for you guys?
What's next?
Well, the Sun Run.
Yeah.
This weekend.
I guess that's next
We're
for all
in
of us.
it right now, yeah.
We're going to be with you in Sheboygan.
Yeah.
And we're going to finish out this Supercat series. We've got Sheboygan and Clearwater left on that. And then we get to the editing. And that'll be interesting, editing 3 30-plus minute episodes. I mean, that'll be the longest by a long shot.
Oh, my gosh.
For something that we've put out. Because you'd think they do flow into each other. So it's really like making a 90-minute video. But we have tons of material and we've been planning like crazy, like you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to push us to a new level. And that, like you said, from when we started with Grant versus now, from now, when we come back and sit here in 5 years or whatever, like hopefully it's not that long until we have you back, but
up on the 12th floor of your office building.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll be really old then, so just sort of old now.
Yeah, but hopefully we're doing more stuff along those lines.
I still get, probably once a week, somebody asks me, are you guys going to keep doing In the Lead? People love that series. So for those of you out there who might be in the industry who are looking to sponsor something really amazing, we could use a linchpin sponsor. We really could.
Yeah, it was a real blow to lose our main sponsor for that series because we loved making it. I feel like the people really enjoyed them. And that series for me got me to know everybody in the industry. And I kind of miss that. So
yeah, I do too. I want to bring in one more thing, and you guys ask questions. So, just as you had, bad luck with Kutawa, you had the most amazing luck imaginable with Factory Billet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What a story there.
That was an
And my
incredible
God, the
story.
numbers on that video are just doing so well.
Is it over 300?
Oh yeah.
That would be our fastest growing one, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. But like you said, like good luck with that. Yeah, great luck. I mean, we knew that they were going to put up a good number. We didn't know what it would be. They had conflict in those wastegates breaking and having to go repair them. They got it repaired. They blew their number out of the water, and we captured every minute of it.
Yeah, and now they're coming back this year, but they're only running Sunday.
Yeah.
So if they have another Saturday kind of episode where they're fooling around with wastegates or any mechanical, I mean, they're done. Jim Schultz, the owner of the boat, he also drives and throttles it. Mike is his engine builder, Mike Foucher. His daughter is celebrating her birthday on Saturday, and he's not going to miss it. So he's going to fly, he'll be at the lake until Friday, and he'll fly back to Fort Lauderdale, and then fly back Sunday morning. So he's going to be at his daughter's birthday.
What a good dad.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a priority for him.
It is. And he has a means to do it. So
Yeah, good for
hats
him.
off to him.
For sure.
So, and we're doing a second video this year on them. So with that in mind, like, where's this story going to go? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah. You can experience it as pressure, but you can also experience it as just an adventure, and it's fun. It does create pressure at the end of any kind of storytelling experience where you're going, I don't have anything. I'm really screwed. But it'll happen. It hasn't happened to you yet.
No, it hasn't. So hopefully it doesn't this time. But short of it raining and him not running or something like that, I don't see a reason why we couldn't get it done. So.
And then perhaps on to Key West. We'll figure that out today.
Yeah, potentially a huge project there, recapping everything. Maybe a little bit of a super cat focus, since we're already going to get the people going on that whole class.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah. But that'll round out the year for us. And it'll be a hell of a year if we get all this stuff out.
You'll get it out. And then what? What's the break for you guys? I mean, I know you're like avid snowboarders, and what are you going to do?
I'm looking forward to winter for sure. I don't think Katie is.
I'm not looking forward to winter.
Why, Katie?
Because I don't like to be cold. I think I might come join you in Florida in one of the places you stay.
Anytime. You're welcome. If I'm not staying at Randy Swear's house, I'll be at my sister's.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, we've got a few ski trips planned. Mark Morris just texted us last night and was like, hey, I need to go skiing with you guys this year, so let me know when you're going. But we have a couple places picked. We don't have dates or anything like that yet. But planning on going to the mountains for a little bit, planning on just kind of recovering from the summer and the amount of work that we do. But at the same time, we want to move into some different spaces with our video work and kind of build the team that we have here. So that would require us to focus our time a little bit more on that in the off summer months because we're just all in on boating in the summer. So pursuing some projects like that, probably you'll see that. Hopefully we can keep up the podcast, keep that coming out weekly. It's been a little bit of a challenge lately just because we've been on the road so much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love the change of pace, and living in Michigan, you really feel that with the seasons. So you can kind of like change your mindset around what you're doing easily because it's either dark at 4 p.m. or it's dark at 10, Yeah, right. It's like a totally different place.
And you do so much work for Sensation. Can you sort of describe that to me?
Yeah. They're our biggest and most consistent client for sure. I mean, we manage their social media. We make all their content. We make their YouTube videos. I mean, we've been, that was what got me into this whole thing. That's how you guys found us.
That's right.
I mean, the Sun Run this week is the biggest event for them for the year, and we're making a pretty long YouTube video on that hopefully keeps everyone's interest. But we've had tons of projects with them. Very grateful for everything that they've given us and all the opportunities, and definitely see that continuing for as long as it can.
I wanted to feed off of you keep saying opportunity a couple of times, and Speed on the Water gave us such a huge opportunity 4 years ago, right? I think, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when Brad got off the call with you and Jason, and he told me what you guys were going to do with it in the lead. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Like, that's what? And I never would have imagined where we would be now doing this full time, me also doing this full time with Brad, with Bobby. And it was because Speed on the Water believed in Scrapyard.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have just continued to give us a ton of opportunities and opened a lot of doors for us and have allowed us to meet the right people. So I just want to make sure you know how grateful we are for you and so thankful for the opportunities and the belief you've had in us.
Well, thank you. I already did. I know how grateful you are,
Mhm.
but you know, I can open doors. Jason can open doors, but you got to walk through them. And it's not easy what you do. And trust me, you know, if the quality hadn't been what it has been, this conversation probably wouldn't be happening. You guys, yeah, you got a chance, but you ran with it, and you still are with everything you're doing. You're still running flat out to do the best work you can, and that's all you can do.
For sure.
Just keep telling stories.
We hope to continue.
Well, Matt, thanks for coming on here. Thanks for coming to Michigan, supporting the Sun Run, hanging out with us.
Oh man, this is gonna be
staying
fun.
at our house.
Love hanging out with you.
Yeah, I'm a kind of an itinerant homeless person.
That's all right.
Well, you're welcome here anytime, and hopefully it's not 5 years before you come back again.
I
And,
promise.
all right, great.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely have you on again soon. We can do these things remote. So
Cool. I look forward.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Now we
nice.
have to do the welcome.
Yeah. Do you want to do what Bobby would normally do?
All I know how to say is good.
Yeah. Do you want to
morning.
do that?
That's all I know.
And welcome to the Table Scraps
Oh,
podcast.
and welcome to the Table Scraps
Yeah.
podcast. Okay.
And we're looking at that camera.
What if it's not as good as Bobby's?